Well, you don't have to listen to me drone on today. I have somebody else here to drone on. Jeff Pryor. I'm not going to attempt to tell you who he is because I can't get all those initials and all that stuff right. I don't even know what he does half the time. So I'm going to let him just get up and tell you who he is and what he does and just start right off. Jeff?
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here today. My name is Jeff Pryor, and I'm the Broome County Reentry Coordinator. And when I say reentry, I mean prison reentry. I was hired in 2010 to design, develop, implement, create a reentry program for men and women coming home from New York State correctional facilities. That's not to say that people coming home from jail or coming in from another correctional facility like federal prison aren't important. But I received grant money from the Division of Criminal Justice Services out of Albany, New York, to run our program. The Southern Tier Social Justice Project was a group of formerly incarcerated individuals that got together many years ago, long before they even tried to get funding from the government. And they are a grassroots organization, and they wanted to bring equal rights to the people in the community that have a formerly incarcerated background. To overcome obstacles that would inhibit their successful reintegration. And then they eventually said, we need some money to do this. And they went to the state, and the state said, you're not a 501c3, you're not a county agency, you're not a government program. So they got the legislation folks involved, and the deputy commissioner and the commissioner over Broome County Mental Health and Social Services got together, and they wrote a grant in 2009. And they were awarded $100,000. In May of 2010, I started the interview process, and I was hired June 28th of 2010 to bring us to where we are today. The mission of the Broome County Reentry Program is to help men and women coming home from a New York State correctional facility overcome barriers which inhibit their growth and successful reintegration back into Broome County. So what does that mean when we break it down? Well, we had to get the folks in the community involved. And when I started the program, we had 20 agencies that were involved in the idea of we need to do something more with this. 5 years later, where we sit today, we have almost 47 partnering agencies in the community on board. We're one of the most well-attended county meetings on a monthly basis. And I applaud everyone in the community for wanting to be a part of our program, because we see beyond where we are today that if we don't help the men and women coming home from prison, how are we going to have a safe public community in which that we live? If we don't offer programming for folks that have hardships and barriers which inhibit their to be successful, how can we move forward as a community? I work with the Division of Criminal Justice Services, the Department of Corrections and Community Supervision, the District Attorney, the Binghamton Police Department, the Endicott, Elmira, all the police departments in this area. I apologize, not Elmira, I'm thinking Johnson City. The YM, the YW, the Fairview Recovery Service in town, ACBC, the Addiction Center of Broome County. We try to partner with all of the agencies in town that our clients and participants will need to engage in after they come home. We provide reentry case management services to help them successfully complete the terms of their parole supervision. Most everyone in our program is on parole. Some of them have maxed out. And when we say maxed out, we mean they've done their entire sentence inside the walls of a prison, and then when they are released and come home, there is no supervision in place because they did all of their time inside. So it makes it that much harder to help folks when there's no one guiding and directing them, such as the Office of Parole. So we have we have our fingers in a lot of different pots. One of the things that we do, our newest, well, let me back up just a second here. 450 people come home annually from a New York State correctional facility. Of those that come home, the government says, with this $101,000 we give you, you need to help 127 people. Everyone is categorized based on their risk, and risk is how likely are you to commit a new crime or go back to prison on a violation of your parole conditions. We have to help 127 people. Annually, For the last 3.5 years, we've averaged 200 to 210 on that same $101,000. So we're doing about 160% of our goal. What does that mean? We're doing a lot of work with very little money. So we are always looking for partnerships in the community, and we offer connections back into educational programs through the SUNY Attain Lab. We work with BOCES very closely. Broome Community College, since we've been here the last 5 years, looks at us to say, would you put your name on this person? Have they worked with you, and are they making their lives better for the community and for themselves? And we have about 12 students currently attending Broome Community College, and we're very proud of that. One of them is looking to graduate this May and move into SUNY Broome, or excuse me, Binghamton University. We are looked at by the Division of Criminal Justice Services as like an incubator program. Whenever they want something done, they look to Broome County first to implement it. Well, why would they do that? Well, they do that because we are the #1 reentry program in the state of New York. There's 19 county reentry task forces, and I happen to be the proud leader of our community. And it's everyone that helps give your time and your selflessness and your lack of judgment on the people that we work with that's helped us to become #1. What does that mean? It means we have an 80% success rate of every person that passes through our program. We used to be a 26-week program, and then we were cut down by the government because of funding cuts. We were cut down to just 90 days. And we found that when folks would complete our program, they would eventually go back to prison because that structure that we put in place is now missing. So our newest and greatest program that we are implementing as we speak is we are training community volunteers through our faith community partnerships to be mentors and coaches to the men and women coming home from a state correctional facility. But that's not good enough, because we feel you have to have a relationship built while you're still incarcerated. Because for someone to come home and trust you, it takes time to build trust. So we are the only county going into New York State correctional facilities to meet people twice a month for 2 hours at a visit 3 months before they're released, to begin that trusting relationship, to build that partnership before they come home. Because when they come home, they're being bombarded by life. And when you're in a correctional institution, everything is structured and laid out. You do this and this and that and that and the other thing at specific times, and if you miss that time, you don't do it. Well, when you come home, there's no structure. There is, but we have to know how to take that structure and adapt it to our lives. So the coaches are going to be vital to the people coming home, and it's a 12-month commitment, 3 months before they leave, and then 9 months after they come home. It's very intense in the beginning, and then we don't want to enable people into bad habits, so we will slowly reduce the amount of time that we're with folks. And once you're in our program, you're in for life. Although we only work with you for 90 days, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, the government says you have to help them for 90 days and then move on to the next set. So we continually have 45 to 50 people in our program at a time. But I have members that continue to come back to our program 3 years after they've graduated because they like that connection that we offer, and they're bringing new and inventive ideas for us. Employment. Employment is huge. We have to work with employers in the area so we can ensure that our folks have a fighting chance to get a job. Because guess what? McDonald's is hiring people with bachelors now. Why? Because people with bachelor's degrees are out of work. So if I have an incarcerated background in a felony or 2 or 3 or 4, how can I have that equal opportunity when this person with a bachelor degree is going to take the job from us? So, and these jobs are what kids are supposed to be working, but because of the way the government and society and everything is going, we have to work with the folks to remain cutting edge. And the only way we can do that is to allow ourselves to open ourselves up to the community to work on the relationships with the employers. And housing. How many of us live in good neighborhoods? Clean, sober, safe housing, excuse me. And we're not afraid to walk the streets at night. We want our participants to live in the same neighborhoods we do. And you might think, well, why would you want that? Well, I would rather know where you are so I can help you if you need help than put you back into a neighborhood where you used to run the streets and you used to do the bad things and got caught in. How can we change our environment if we're put right back into the same exact environment? So we work very hard to create relationships with landlords that will allow our people the opportunity to live in a clean, sober, safe house in a decent neighborhood. Now, social services only pays $400, and $400 rent is not that much money. So we are building the relationships, and we're working with 3 landlords right now that we're working with, and we have 15 of our folks living in good homes, in decent neighborhoods. And I'm very proud of that, but it's very, very, very difficult because then the neighborhoods look at that person, and then they look at the people in the house, and then we start judging. And the one thing I'm so proud of with our participants is they're maintaining the exterior of the house, they're doing landscaping, they're keeping the interior clean, and they're actually beautifying the neighborhood. So that's where we are, and there's so many more places to go with our program. Our job is ever and ongoing. Substance abuse is huge with us. We are always working with the substance abuse agencies. Every person that comes home from prison gets a substance abuse evaluation. And we do that because we want to ensure that if you need to be connected with a service that will benefit you, that you have the ability to get into it. All of our folks go on Medicaid if they need Medicaid. Some folks do food stamps, some do housing assistance, some do not. Some of our folks come home from prison with a master's degree, some with a bachelor's, and some don't have a GED. So we work with everybody on a one-on-one basis to see what do you need and how can we help you get there. We work very, very closely with the Office of Parole because they are the ultimate decision to make sure that everyone does what they're supposed to, and we are there to help ensure folks get connected. The folks we take into our program, we take every woman released. Why? Because women do not have the same opportunity with programming that the men have in this community. There's very few women-specific programs. We take all veterans because there's government funding for veterans, and we want to ensure that all veterans that come home have the same opportunity to get the same assistance that everyone else does. We help 3 to 4 sex offender folks a month. If you have a sex offense, regardless of the type, we want to ensure that you are as well connected. We are one of the few communities that does not have sex offender counseling. But that doesn't mean we can't work with folks because that service isn't here. Many people have anger management or domestic violence history, so we ensure that you are connected to the program that will help you change past patterns and behaviors, give you the opportunity to think differently so we can move forward. And then we work with the most high-risk individuals, other than those 3 subpopulations that we talked about. We look at risk management. How likely is it that you're going to commit a crime to go back to prison or violate parole? Those are the folks that we bring in. We bring in those that need the most assistance. Some are high needs, and that's okay. We'll work with you, and we will connect you. We are like the hubcap on a wheel. We spoke everyone out to the agencies that will work with them and have the expertise. So we're connection specialists, we're mediators, we're negotiators. And if at any time any of you have any questions for me, don't hesitate to call me or email me. Pastor Barb knows how to get a hold of me. You are welcome to come into my office, have a meeting. If you know someone who is formerly incarcerated and needs help, I would be happy to assist them, regardless if it's jail, prison, or federal. And if you want to become a part of the Reentry Task Force and the Broome County Reentry Program, let me know, because there is always room for more people. And thank you so much today. Yes, sir.
Can you explain briefly about the coaching program and what it entails?
The coaching program is the State of New York Department of Corrections and Community Supervision Volunteer Services Office created a mentoring coaching program about 7 years ago. 5 years ago when I started, I went to a meeting. The idea is to train community faith members to go inside a prison and start working with people on a mentor-coaching relationship. We're not there to do psychotherapy. We're simply there to help you build a relationship so when you come home, you feel comfortable communicating with somebody that you've built trust with. That person will help you navigate through our program your needs to make sure that you are connected. You have, as a coach, as much support as the mentee or the person coming home will receive. We have check and balances in place that our coaches will receive assistance before going to the prison, and then they will receive emotional assistance coming home from the prison visit. And then every time you visit one of your participants or your mentees in the community, we will meet before and after, or at least talk on the phone. Once a month, we have a huge debriefing meeting with all of our coaches that you actually get with all the coaches that are currently working with their students, and you talk about what's going on. I am an MSW, so I have my master's in social work, and I oversee the group to ensure that you have appropriate boundaries set for yourself and you don't start taking on other people's issues, which aren't yours to take on. So we ensure that our coaches are well maintained, we ensure that our mentees or our participants are receiving quality coaching, and it's that relationship and the trust that's being built that will help that person, when they're through with our program, continue to make the right decisions. And that's why the coaching program goes about 3 to 6 months after they're through with us. But they're still connected to us, and the coaches are always going to be a part of us. So did that answer your question? Okay. We offer a 16-hour training, and we will have a training in June, the 2nd Saturday and the 3rd Saturday here, and it will be 8 hours from 9 to 5 on each of those 2 Saturdays, and you will be completely trained by the State of New York Department of Corrections and Community Supervision. We will then go to Albany together as a team. It will be fingerprinted and background checked. It doesn't matter if you have a criminal background. We just need to know about it in order to receive clearance to go inside the prison. And they just want to know that who you are as a person. And we've so far have had no one turned down, and I would say about 5 people have criminal records that are also our coaches. Because just because we have a past doesn't mean that has to be a part of our future. So we can use our past to help those that we're working with to move forward in a better direction. Is that? Excellent. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jeff. Isn't it interesting how our scripture goes with that? I mean, why should we bother with these guys? We've worked hard to get where we are. Why should we bother to help them? Because even the ones who come in late get the same reward as those who have worked for years and years and years. And that's what God has called us to do. It's exciting. Now, what happens if I go to the training and decide I don't want to do this? Is that a problem?
No. Many people come to the training and say, I don't want to go inside the prison, but I still want to help people when they come home. And we welcome everyone into our program, and where you feel you fit in is where we utilize what you bring to the table.
Okay, thank you.